Going to Phoenix this past weekend was really important, and I'm glad that I was able to share that memorable experience of the Charlie Kirk Memorial with some dear friends and colleagues. I am so blessed to work for a company that features voices like Larry Elder, Chris Stigall, Hugh Hewitt. We pray for our colleague Dennis Prager, who continues to recover. Mark Davis, Joey Hudson, Dinesh D'Souza. I've been thinking about the storytelling by Gavin Newsom. There's contemptible storytelling and there's honorable storytelling. And I truly believe that history is going to belong to the storytellers. When Gavin Newsom, for example, last night used that phrase, disappearing, referring to illegal immigrants, they know exactly what they're doing in using that word. It's actually deportation, an act that a majority of Americans favor. But now nobody's going to favor or approve of disappearing people, disappearing them. Men in masks are disappearing. It's in the storytelling. Well, one of the most honorable storytellers of our generation is the man we're about to welcome to the show. He's the author, the filmmaker, the host of the incredibly popular Dinesh D'Souza podcast. He's authored over 20 books, many of them New York Times bestsellers. And, I am riveted. I can't wait to go to the movies to see The Dragon's Prophecy being described as a mind-blowing cinematic experience that examines the chaos in the Middle East, sparked by the October 7th massacre in Israel. Who are the good guys? Who are the bad guys? Who does the land belong to? It's about time, and I am grateful that Dinesh D'Souza comes along once more with perfect timing. Dinesh, it's great to see you, albeit in a TV studio, because this past weekend you and I were trudging about 2 miles to get from the bus to the State Farm Stadium because I made the decision, and it was Debbie, I think, who went along with me, right? I don't think it was you. I don't think you were so excited about walking 2 miles in the desert heat to try to get to the memorial, but we made an executive decision, and it turned out okay. And as sad as it was, I was honored to get to spend that experience with you and your wife.
We had just come back from Israel. We had gone to visit a biblical archaeology exhibit. And the very next day, we boarded for Phoenix. So Debbie has actually come down with a bit of a cold, I think, just being a little run down. But guess what? Neither of us we don't regret our trip to Israel, and we don't regret being there for that really very memorable day. As you know, Mike, it was very long, but on the other hand, some of those speeches, I don't think I will ever forget. It was a historic day for the country.
It was also a day of worship, which would make Charlie proud because he never missed an opportunity to express his faith. In debating college kids, he always wanted to talk about, our Judeo-Christian nation. He always wanted to talk about his love of Jesus Christ. I'm telling you, Dinesh, when Pastor McCoy did the sort of good old-fashioned altar call and said to that packed stadium, look, if you're a believer, stay seated, but if you want to turn your life over to Jesus right now, stand up. And I saw all those people step up and stand up, Dinesh. It was miraculous, and what a testament to this 31-year-old man who was cut down right at the top of his game and as effective as anybody we've seen, and they killed him for it, Dinesh.
And I think also, Mike, I was struck by the fact that so many of the cabinet officials made specific appeals, not just to God in the generic sense, but specifically to Jesus Christ. I've never heard anything like it. Of course, in Europe, they're completely secular, but even here in America, typically presidents will make a kind of anodyne or generic invocation of God. Reagan would once in a while talk about the man upstairs. But this kind of a explicit Jesus is king in an event with executive officials of the highest rank to me was itself a message to the world.
It was epic. It was one of the most memorable things I've ever experienced in person. And I'm glad I got to share it with you and Debbie and Larry Elder and our CEO Dave Centrella and Phil Boyce, my immediate boss, all the good people there at Salem who got together. We had a wonderful group and a chance to break bread together Saturday night. So it was a very, very special time. I want to get to your movie, but before we get to that, I'm so thrilled about the Dragon's Prophecy, but let's talk a little bit about real world events. We found out yesterday that Google admitted that the Biden administration was directing Alphabet to censor points of view that the Biden administration didn't agree with. A personal question: have you been censored and shut down by the government over speech that they didn't like, Dinesh?
Without a doubt, I have something like 700 to 800,000 followers on YouTube. When I first started my podcast, I was getting 150, 200,000 views on YouTube. And then mysteriously, one fine day, they dropped to about 10,000. And they've remained almost mathematically consistent ever since. So it's hard for me to believe that there's not some sort of an algorithm of suppression built into Google. And we also saw the difference on other platforms. The moment that Elon Musk bought X, my following went from 2 million to over 5 million. So once you're unshackled, so to speak, then the free market of ideas kicks in. So I'm really glad to hear this about Google. I mean, they've extracted a terrible price on a lot of us in this systematic government-driven censorship.
We've witnessed unbridled anti-Semitism. We've experienced college campuses marching around with Hamas flags and signs. We've heard prominent Democrats screech from the river to the sea, all these horrific things. For many people, what's happening between Israel and Hamas is complicated. It's difficult. I'm a good guys, bad guys kind of a person. I like to know. For me, it's not hard. Israel wants to survive. Their opponents want them to die. They want to destroy Israel. Tell us a little bit about how this came about, the Dragon's Prophecy. We're going to give everybody the details on how you can see it in a theater near you when it opens up shortly. But tell us a little bit about the whole genesis of the Dragon's Prophecy and what's it all about and what people can expect when they watch it.
Mike, I was exposed on a Salem trip to Israel to biblical archaeology at the end of 2022. Really startled to discover that many things in the Bible that for centuries were only in the Bible, they didn't have any external or historical corroboration, were being verified now through artifacts and seals and stones coming out of the ground. Almost like God is speaking back to us in this last age and speaking back through the language of archaeology and of science. So this I found very interesting, partly because of my earlier work in Christian apologetics. Then along comes October 7th, and I'm horrified by what happened. And I see all these videos about it. And I realize that the videos aren't public. No one is getting a real look and feel of what it's actually like to be there on October 7th, even though these videos are taken not by the Israelis, but by Hamas. They're live streaming some of them on their own channels. And so I think about these two separate things and I realize that they're connected. They're connected because the underlying question is, whose land is it? And of course, are the Jews the original inhabitants of that land? And while I'm mulling all this over, along comes Jonathan Cahn with his best-selling book, The Dragon's Prophecy. And he introduces a startling idea to this debate, which I realize is very relevant. He says this, that the battles between Israel and Hamas now are an eerie recreation, he even calls it a resurrection, of the battles between the ancient Israelites in the Bible and their enemies, people like the Moabites, the Amalekites, and of course the most famous, the Philistines. And so this a startling connection is drawn out in this film in a very cinematic and intellectually interesting way. So the film is not a regurgitation of what you're hearing now from the left and the right. Israel's a colonizer. What about the genocide? All of that is addressed in the film. And in fact, I have a one-on-one with Bibi Netanyahu about this very topic. Tucker Carlson comes into it and others. So it's a very timely film, and yet in some ways it's very timeless because it tries to see things through the broader lens of the Bible.
I really can't wait to see it. And once again, you've got this great formula where you offer the movie at theaters. It's going to be available on October the 6th and October the 8th. So 2 dates in an actual movie theater. You can go to the dragonsprophecyfilm.com to find out what theater is going to be showing it. Go to the dragonsprophecyfilm.com. But the best part of all, you can pre-order streaming or the DVD on your own to watch it in the comfort of your own home. That'll be available, I believe, October 9th. Is that correct, at Salem Now?
Exactly. It's 2 days in the theater. Very easy to remember because of the 2 days alongside October 7th, October 6th, October 8th. And then the very next day, it's available for streaming. The DVDs will land in your mailbox. So sign up for the theater or sign up for the streaming, but you do it all through the website. You don't buy the tickets at the theater. You buy it from the website, and it is the dragonsprophecyfilm.com.
The dragonsprophecyfilm.com. You're not going to want to miss it. I certainly am not. Dinesh, it's great to catch up with you, and it was great seeing you again under such sad circumstances this weekend in Phoenix. Hope Debbie's feeling better soon, and you keep fighting the good fight. We need your voice now more than ever.
For full shows, live and on demand, it's Salem News Channel.